Howdy, this is Lemmy with Revzilla, here to talk to you today about the best adventure motorcycle tires. If you're checking out this video, my guess is you have an ADV bike of some form or flavor and you're looking to put some new shoes on your horse, and you've come to the right place to do it. Now, I know there can be a bundle of adventure tires out there, and it can be really kind of mind-boggling to try and select the ones that might or maybe are not going to be appropriate for the motorcycle you're on. So before we get into the best tires here, let's talk exactly about who this video is constructed for. We're going to be talking about a couple of different bike styles. We're also going to be talking about a couple of different riding styles. Now, when it comes to motorcycle styles, adventure bikes typically come in two classes. You've got two size wheels on most adventure bikes, either a 17-19 combo or a 17-21 combo. That's not a hard and fast rule, but I'd say it's a good generality for most adventure bikes on the market. Generally speaking, the 17-19 bikes tend to be a little bit more road geared. You can still go off-road with them, however, they're definitely meant to be comfortable on the street. The 17-21 bikes tend to be a little bit more dirt bike-like. That big front wheel is able to roll over obstacles a little bit easier than something a bit smaller. Those particular motorcycles, again, tend to have a little bit more off-road capability, and I think generally speaking, the people who choose them are looking to spend just a bit more time off the road. Now, when it comes down to riding styles, as we've discovered over the years, adventure bikes are popular with a lot of different motorcycle riders. Some people use them just like straight up touring bikes. They're spending their entire lives on the streets on them, and they just like them because they're big, powerful, comfortable motorcycles with a nice upright riding position. Now, on the other hand, you've got some people like our very own Spurgeon who will take a large adventure bike and completely use it inappropriately. They'll treat it like an overgrown dirt bike and force the thing into spending its entire life there in the mud off-road. Regardless of where you fall there, though, we're going to have something up here for you. We've got kind of a range of tires here. Most of them are clustered around the middle, though, for a little bit of off-road riding as well as a little bit of road work. Now, one of the things you should know if you're shopping for a tire that is meant to go both on-road and off-road is they'll typically be expressed as a ratio. You'll see 60-40 tires or perhaps 70-30 tires. Those numbers are always expressed as the intended on-road riding percentage versus the off-road riding. So if you see a 70-30 tire, that's a tire that's designed to spend 70% of its life on the pavement and then take another 30%, and that's what it's going to be doing off-road. So for those of you who are winding up, taking your bike again into that super dirt stuff, you might be looking at a tire as aggressive as, say, a 40-60, really much more aggressive than that, and you're looking at a straight up dirt bike tire, most of which won't fit your bike anywho. Now remember, this best of video is one of a series. If you've got other bikes in your garage, something that also needs a set of skins on it, but you don't know exactly what to buy, remember, we've got a couple different videos. Some of them might help you out in choosing a tire. For right now, though, let's get going on some of the adventure tires that you can see in front of you. Alrighty, first up here we have the Continental Twin-Duro, also known as the TKC 80. This tire is sort of a behemoth in the off-road world. This is the one to beat. It's the gold standard for off-road tires. I'm going to call this a 40-60 tire. This is really probably the knobbiest DOT tire you can get. Just like I mentioned earlier, if you're getting something knobbier than this, you're really looking at a straight dirt bike tire. It's probably not legal to run on the road. So let's talk a little bit about this tire really quickly, who it's for, who it's going to be best associated with. Now, these tires also are popular because they have so many different sizes available. Odds are excellent that if you are riding a motorcycle, adventure or not, the TKC 80 probably comes in a size that will fit your bike. So look at these giant tread blocks on here. Notice instead too the giant voids between the tread blocks. That's really the important part here. What this allows the tire to do is mechanically conform around things, rocks, dirt, branches, stumps. These tires, when aired down, will sort of wrap around those things and give you lots and lots of good grab. Those big spaces between the lugs also allow good ejection. So if this thing loads up with mud and you get it moving again, it's going to clear the mud out of the tire pretty well. Now, there's actually two classes of rider I recommend these to. The first are the people who do the hardcore off-road stuff. People who are taking their adventure bikes way far into the woods and asking the very max out of them. Spurgeon's an excellent example. I know he's run several sets of these on his Tiger. We have lots of people around the office who run these things, and you really can get pretty far off-road with them. Oftentimes, these are the go-to tire, I think, for people who are really serious about spending time off-road. Despite the fact the mileage on these is pretty poor, generally speaking, most people are more than willing to make the sacrifice because of how capable they make their bikes off-road. The second class of rider I actually recommend these to, believe it or not, are those who are taking their big off-road bike off-road for the first time. And the reason I say that is, as a beginner starting out, you need every advantage you can get. It's difficult to ride off-road, especially if you've never done it before, and especially if you've never done it before on a big bike. Having the off-road hook and bite that a TKC 80 offers kind of clears out one more problem you need to surmount when you're out there actually learning what you're doing. Remember, even though these are, again, a 40-60 tire, when you need a mud tire or an off-road tire, you need 100% of an off-road tire. TKC 80 really does deliver in that respect. So regardless of whether you're experienced on a big bike or you're fresh, I would say a TKC 80 is a great spot to start if you know you're going off-road and you're not exactly sure which tire to buy. Let's move on to our next set of skins. Alrighty, next up we've got a Heidenau K60 Scout. I believe this is the tire we have included in our annual gear guides more than any other tire, not just in the category, any other tire ever. This is a tire I like to describe as kind of a free lunch tire. We talk about there being no free lunches in the world of tires. However, the K60 Scout really does kind of offer a little bit more than the sum of its parts. So in my estimation, I think these are almost as good off-road as that TKC 80 you just saw, but there are some significant benefits here. These tires tend to do a little bit better on the road. The wear on them is a little bit better. Most riders will report a little bit more mileage out of these. Now the K60 Scout comes in a couple different tread designs, but one of the things I do want to point out here is you'll notice in this tire there's a continuous center rib. Now remember that when you're zipping down the road, most of your time is going to be spent on the center of the tire. Without those voids in between the tread blocks punctuating that center rib, you keep constant contact with the rubber and the ground. Unlike something like the TKC 80 like you just saw before, those voids in between the tread blocks sort of add in a vibration. You'll hear lots of noise. Those tires are very noisy as each tread block sort of hits the ground, compresses, scuffs, and then rolls under. That manifests itself really as a very noisy tire. It's not a bad thing. If you need off-road tire prowess, of course you have to be willing to put up with a little bit of noise. However, something like the K60 Scout gives up just a touch of the off-road ability, but really kind of returns a much more rideable tire for the street, again, in terms of both mileage as well as in terms of noise. Now the K60 Scout really did a great job for a number of years. However, there have been some other copycats coming into the market, and you will also see some contenders that look very much like this tire. So if you're checking out a K60 Scout, you probably also want to look at a Mifo Explorer as well as perhaps a Mitas EO7 tire. All of those are sort of in that 50-50 realm. They're going to be just as good on the road as off it. Definitely a favorite tire, my own personally, as well as lots of our customers too. The K60 Scout definitely has earned its reputation as well as its spot in this top 5 video. Let's move on to the next set of skins. Alrighty, next up we've got the Avon Trek Rider, the AV84 and the AV85 tire here. So you can see this sort of carries for some of the things we've already been seeing here, big chevron patterns on these babies. But an interesting fact about the Avon Trek Rider is this is actually Avon Tire's first crack at an off-road tire. Now Avon is certainly not new to the tire game. They've been around for decades and decades and decades. However, the fact they waited this long to get into the off-road tire game says to me that they probably did their homework. And the other thing is, all those decades of experience of on-road tires definitely shines through in the Trek Rider. The Trek Rider is your quiet option. For those riders who do need some off-road capability, you're looking for a 50-50 tire, but you have become frustrated with how noisy the tires that you've put on your bike actually are, the Trek Rider is the tire for you. This tire prioritizes nice quiet running over mileage. It also prioritizes it over off-road capability. So if you're venturing off-road from time to time, you need a 50-50 tire, but you really want something that's quiet for the bulk of your riding work, say when you're heading to work or just commuting or touring, the Trek Rider is the tire to look at. Next tire. Now we're going to cover the Michelin Pilot Road 4 trail tire. Now this is kind of a special tire, sort of in the same vein as the Trek Rider we just saw, but a little bit more extreme yet. Now if you're looking at this tire and thinking, boy, that tire doesn't look that off-road capable, it doesn't look very knobby, you'd be 100% correct. Completely ignore the name of this tire. Trail is just a name, no more, no less. What this tire is a purely street-based tire. However, it comes in adventure bike sizes. So at the beginning of the video, we talked about sort of the gamut of ways people will ride their adventure bikes. And like I had mentioned, there are plenty of people who choose an adventure bike simply because they're big, they're comfortable, they're powerful, they carry lots and lots of gear, they may have a look they like, and they have a nice neutral upright riding position. They make great touring mounts. However, if that rider doesn't take their bike off-road, unfortunately what they're going to suffer is tires that are noisier than they need to be and probably not wearing as as well as they could. That's where the Pilot Road 4 Trail comes in. These are made in the 17 and 19-inch sizes for those street-biased adventure bikes. However, they have no off-road pretense whatsoever. These are strictly a street-based tire. They're quiet, they last a long time, and they have great grip. So if you find yourself taking your adventure bike and putting that thing on its side through the corners and you're spending your entire life on pavement, Pilot Road 4 Trail is a tire that's probably going to be almost perfect for your needs. Let's move on to the next one. All right, to round things out, we have the Kenda Big Block. Now, you hate to see a copycat, but if you look at this thing, you'll notice it looks frighteningly similar to that TKC 80 we had up here a little bit earlier. The reality is the Kenda Big Block is going to give you almost the exact same off-road prowess at a fraction of the price. So this is a tire that's going to be good for those of you who are A, considering throwing something a little bit knobbier on your bike and trying your hand at off-road work, and it's also going to be for B, those riders who maybe either have a second set of wheels or perhaps they're thinking about spooning a second set of tires on and coming on and off with them because they're not going to be going off-road very frequently. They're just popping these on for a trip or two every now and again. All the same though, if you're looking to try your hand at getting off-road with your bike, a Kenda Big Block is a great way to start doing it. Again, it's got lots and lots of off-road capability, great for those of you who are going to be new off-road, but it's not going to bust the bank because these things are pretty easy on the wallet. This thing is going to definitely run side by side too with the Mitas E09 tire. Check that out if you're looking at this one as well. But again, I think when it comes right down to it, when it comes to cost, something like the Kenda Big Block pretty much is the king. Now that's going to round out our top 5 best adventure tires. Your next step should be to click that info button, educate yourself a little bit further, check out some of our product videos, and then also too, read some of the reviews from other riders who are rocking these tires on a rig like your own. Now if you want a little bit more personalized attention too, feel free to get in touch with one of our Gear Geeks. We have plenty of folks here who ride off-road and lots of adventure bikes in our parking lot. You can get in touch with a Gear Geek by dropping them an email, cs@revzilla.com. Of course, you can always pick up the horn and talk to somebody live and in color, 877-792-9455. I'm Lemmy. I'm out of here.